We're talking prospects. We're talking rookies. We're talking Kalia Davis, defensive lineman, and undrafted free agent wide receiver Tay Martin on today's program. Scatter report strengths, weaknesses, how they fit into their respective position groups as they battle for roster spots in 2022. Coming up right now.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you as usual at BD Peacock at Eric_Crocker. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Croc, I did say that they'd be fighting for roster spots. There might not be much fighting for Kalia Davis because of injuries right away, so we might have to wait a while to see him. But I do think Tay Martin has a fighting chance to make the roster, even though he's an undrafted free agent. So we'll go over those players. But first, as we're recording this Sunday evening, the Warriors just tied up the NBA Finals with the win over the Celtics. Croc, a Warrior hater, a noted Lakers fan and Warrior hater that Croc is. But the most interesting thing for me that happened in that game is that Deebo Samuel was at the game and Kyle Shanahan also at the game. Not sitting together or anything, but what do you think? You think they crossed paths a little bit? You think maybe they had a post-game cocktail and maybe sat down and hashed some things out?
I don't think so. I think they just went separately and enjoyed the game and had a good time. They usually have really good seats. I was watching the game and I just my eyes just wander while I'm watching games. Wait, is that Kyle Shanahan? Like, it just something flashed, and I'm like, I recognize that face. So I rewinded it. I'm like, it is Kyle Shanahan, man. I recognize that flat brim hat and that bomber jacket from anywhere.
Yeah, that was really funny seeing him in the crowd there. Some nice seats. I'm sure that he did not have to pay for it, right?
That's what I'm wondering. Do they just get comp? I gotta ask people that are like, big time. Like, I know you're not paying.
That's a prime seat for the finals. It's easier if you have like a suite and there's just extra room in a suite to have someone come up and stand there and sit there. But to give away tickets that are second, third row for NBA finals.
So you think
that I think they did comp it. Yeah.
Like Joe Lacob, right? Is that his name? Joe Lacob, the owner of the. So he's like, you know what, Kyle Shanahan, really cool guy. Yep, you're kind of our brother organization across the way, but you got to pay $50,000 for these seats.
I'm sure he got those comped, and I'm sure it's just whatever seats they have that are always reserved, that they can give away to anybody.
Obviously I just got back from Vegas this morning, and I haven't slept much over the last few days. But I was at a table last night playing blackjack with a guy. I say last night, but really it was like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 a.m., whatever time it was before my flight. And the guys next to me, we got talking about sports and everything. Guy was from Humboldt. He's in a lucrative business up there in Humboldt. He's actually from the East Coast.
I follow.
But he said, hey, should I put $5,000 on the Warriors? And I said, look, I don't know if I'd take the points with it, which was, I think it was Warriors -4.5, betonline.net. But I definitely would put that $5,000 on the Warriors money line. So I'm not sure if he did or not, but if he did, he'd win money. Now, if you do money line at -4.5, probably collect about $3,800 or so.
Yeah, not a bad payday. Did you go big in Vegas? Did you come home with a lot of extra cash, Croc?
No, I did not come home with extra cash. I actually came home with less cash. But I was sitting next to another guy, and he was down big. I probably lost, I don't know, $1,000, $1,100, something like that. But this guy, he was down like 3-4 bands. And he said, it's just money. It's just money. I said, you know what? You're right. Maybe that's what Kyle said when he was at courtside at the Warriors game. It's just money.
He's like, it's just money. It's just free tickets.
You make money to spend money.
Right. It's funny because the last people that need the free seats are the people that are already rich and famous, right?
Well, that was one thing I recognized when I got to the league. Like, it's like, well, all of a sudden, you have, access to making more money. Obviously, some guys more than the others, but you get a lot of more free things. People throw stuff at you.
We get some free things every once in a while, some perks as broadcasters. No third row final seats or anything like that, but we do get some good stuff. We'll tell you about some of those things that sometimes we're able to utilize from some of our sponsors here in a little bit. But let's talk Kalia Davis. What did you see when you popped on the tape for we're doing Kalia Davis, we're doing Tay Martin. So Kalia Davis is the last draft pick that we've talked about. So we've done all the scouting reports. Go back and see all those episodes talking about all of those players and rookies that the 49ers drafted. Kalia Davis, the last draft pick that we're covering here for the scouting report, but we'll get through a bunch of undrafted free agents as well, in the coming month or so as we prepare for training camp. But Kalia Davis, 6'1", 302 pounds. He's an interesting ball of energy, right? And you don't see many 6'1", 300 pounders. And he was a former linebacker turned defensive lineman, and that's exactly what he looks like. If you pictured what a 300-pound linebacker would look like, that is what Kalia Davis looks like.
Yeah, I'm pretty shocked to hear that he's 300 pounds because he looks slim, and I couldn't tell, is it the number 22 that he's playing with, or is he just a smaller interior defensive lineman? And the one thing that really jumped out right away to me was, although he might be smaller in height, obviously, when you're 6'1", 300 pounds, you're kind of a wide guy.
Yeah.
I think he's built very well in the sense of being a little bit more compact, and he looks a little bit athletic, maybe more so than your kind of shorter, squattier guy. But he was powerful. I thought initially, he's knocking guys back, pushing guys out. I think he has some really good initial quickness. I think his hands in the run game, with the power, hands, and that first step in the run game, I think that's where he excels most right now. I think as a pass rusher, he's non-existent. At least in the couple of games that I watched, I don't even think I saw any type of, I don't want to say effort to be a pass rusher, but it was just non-existent. But versus run, if you're saying right now, Art, we want you to come in and be a 2-down guy where you can take on doubles, you can be stout in there, you can penetrate really quick versus run game. I think he's a guy that can come in right now and do some of those things very well.
Absolutely. I saw a lot of those things. We'll get into more of those specifics on the strengths and weaknesses there. But I do want to mention really quick why there might be a lot of development to come for Kalia Davis, because he redshirted in 2017. He played his redshirt freshman season as a linebacker in 2018. Then in 2019 was moved to the defensive line from linebacker. He had 8 tackles for loss, 3 sacks in 2019, his first year, and started 9 of 13 games. Then opted out because of the COVID pandemic in 2020, then got hurt after 5 games in 2021. So he's only played a season and a half in his life as a defensive lineman, and he's only had 4 career sacks. So there's probably only 4.5 tackles for loss and 1 sack in those 5 games. So that's why you didn't see a lot of sacks on tape, because there just wasn't a lot of them. So there's potentially a lot of development there to happen for Kalia Davis as he goes forward, because he just hasn't played the position very long. We will get into more of those specifics. I want to let the folks out there know first, though, about we're talking Blue Nile. At BlueNile.com, you can celebrate all of life's special moments, from creating the custom engagement ring of her dreams to gifting a classic and timeless jewelry piece, all at prices you won't find at a traditional jeweler. Whether you're ready to pop the question or celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. And the great thing about online shopping is you can get in there, find what you want at your budget. And if you're not finding or not sure what you're doing, they've got jewelry experts on hand 24/7 that you can chat with online, or pick up the phone and talk to them via phone, and they can help steer you in the right direction to find that special piece of jewelry that you're looking for, and find that right piece at the right budget. So no matter what you're looking for, Blue Nile has those jewelry experts on hand to help you out. And to help make your moments sparkle a little bit more with jewelry from BlueNile.com, Locked On listeners are getting $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This is a podcast exclusive, and it includes engagement as well. So use promo code Locked On. Again, that is code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. So shop stress-free and find your forever peace. Go to BlueNile.com today. Croc, did I tell you about the car problems I had when I was making my last trip when I was moving and ran over a cone and it knocked the fender flare off the driver's side of my car? Because the first thing I thought of was like, oh man, my last trip, and now I gotta go to the dealership, right? And take my car in. It's gonna be hundreds of dollars for the stupid piece of plastic on the outside of my car.
Well, why would you go to the dealership when you have rockauto.com?
Yeah, you know what? Instead of $500, it cost me $40 at rockauto.com because they had the exact part I needed. It came with the rivets as well. So I popped it in, popped it off. It was super easy to do, and $40. And now my fender flares looking perfect. They are looking on point, all because of rockauto.com. Save time and money when using Rock Auto, as I did. And I wouldn't have known to use Rock Auto if they weren't a sponsor of this podcast. And you can use them too at rockauto.com. Why choose to spend 30, 50%, even 100% more for the same parts from those chain stores or car dealerships, plus all the extra labor you're going to be paying for too. And then they don't have the part, and then they got to order it, and your car's out of commission for 2 weeks or longer in some cases now, because Rock Auto's got a crazy selection of everything you need for your car or truck. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices always reliably low for every customer, do-it-yourselfers and professionals alike, and have everything you need, whether it's brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, jumper cables, new carpet for your interior, or like me, you need a new fender flare. So go to rockauto.com right now. See all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box, so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. Thanks again, everybody, for making Locked On 49ers your first listen. If you want to make our podcast even better, we've put together a survey so we can learn more about listeners like you and make everything we do even better. And this is your opportunity to tell us what you like and what you don't about Locked On Podcast. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey right now to get started. It won't take very long, and everyone that completes the survey can qualify for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. So take our audience survey, go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey, and we appreciate your help. Croc, talking about Kalia Davis, 49ers 6th round draft pick, 6'1", 302. Didn't work out. I think he did throw up 30 reps of bench press, but he didn't do any on-field drills, so we never got to see a 40 time or any agilities or anything like that, because he does have an injury that's probably going to take him into training camp and into the season. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't play at all as a rookie. Maybe it's a redshirt year for him. But the thing you said, which is the thing that jumped out to me immediately, was that initial quickness. He's routinely the first guy off the ball. He flies out, like a lot of times in a 4-point stance too, and he just bursts out of his stance and gets upfield. And that is going to be his calling card if he's going to make it in the NFL. That is his superpower, is his ability to burst off the line, that initial quickness, and either hit a crease and get into the backfield, or just stun the offensive lineman before the offensive lineman can get hands on him. There's a lot of technique work to do, but that initial quickness is definitely the first thing that popped for me.
Well, one of the first plays that I watched of him, he got off the ball so quick. I said, damn, what the heck? I thought maybe I was tripping. So I went back, watched it again, and I paused it when he fired off. And he's up. You see him moving towards the receiver, and you look at his teammates, they still have their hand in the dirt. Like, that's how quick he was getting off of the ball there in the inside. And that really messes up a lot of, run blocking. Again, because I think that's where his strength is right now. Against the run. When he's firing off like that, kind of getting upfield, there will be some teams that maybe try to utilize that against him, but right now it blows up things because it kind of messes up how you have to block. Then the running back sees that color flash in front of his face, and then it's like, well, how do I react off of that? and you saw him be able to kind of chase some guys down from the backside. The pursuit was there. Those are things that I thought showed up a lot. I think for a guy, because it almost sounds like you're talking about someone that should be a higher draft pick. You talked about some of the limited play and things like that, but I think it's just from what I saw, like just non-existent as a pass rusher, and I think that's something along with the limited, uh, experience really playing might have something to do with him going a little bit lower, and like you said, maybe some injuries as well.
Yes, absolutely. And so yeah, the essentially once he gets off the line and that's his first move and it's his best move and it's his only move. If he's not disruptive, if he doesn't penetrate with that initial burst, he's kind of like, okay, now I'm just playing linebacker. I'm just like, where's the ball? And I'm gonna go find the ball and I'm gonna try to run to it. So high energy. He's high energy in person too. Listening to his press conference when he showed up with the 49ers at rookie mini camp and seen him on the field, high motor, really active player, high energy guy. But there's like a ton of technique work he's got to do. And I wonder if, because he's 6'1", 300 pounds, but he doesn't have a bunch of sand in his pants. It's not like lower body weight. There's a lot of upper body weight. I feel like he's got to really keep even some bad weight and extra weight on so he can be heavy enough to be an interior defensive lineman. He's not really thick in the legs as much, and especially down, kind of skinnier down by the ankles. So I wonder if he's going to have to continue to remake his body a little bit in the NFL just to be able to hold up, because I don't know that he's going to be a DJ Jones replacement, because while he doesn't seem to get driven back, even when he's getting double teamed, he's not a power player either, where he's just like, because he does push offensive linemen back sometimes, but I think it's more just because he got to them quicker because he exploded off the line more so than he's just walking them backwards. You know what I mean? So I don't think I see more of sort of a penetrating 3 tech than a nose tackle. I think if we try to make him that 1 tech nose tackle, he's not DJ Jones. I don't know if that's going to be his game.
So essentially what you're saying now, guys, when you hear me say this, I'm not saying like this, what this guy's going to be. All right. But just kind of describing him. We're talking about Aaron Donald. Like, no, now listen, not Aaron Donald. Like, he's not going to be 3-time defensive player of the year, one of the best, most dominating players I've ever seen. But just in the sense of, you look at Aaron Donald, he's not naturally this big 300 stout type guy, right? Like, he's someone who is an interior pass rusher. Obviously, he's so talented. You can put him on the edge sometimes. But the way he's built, and obviously, he's rocked up, right? He has abs, all type of stuff. But the way he's built, he's not really built with the lower body of someone that you would think is going to consistently take on double teams and do some of those things. Now, the trade-off with these guys, and, if you go back and you look at some of Aaron Donald's pre-draft, how they viewed him, there were some people that thought it would be crazy for him to go in the first round, and obviously the Rams are like, man, I don't know what the hell y'all talking about, but this dude's dominating, right? And he's a great pass rusher. And I think Davis is a terrific run blocker. And because of what his strength is supposed to be, typically someone that is a 2-down player with that type of ability is a little bit bigger and thicker down low, right? Like Kinlaw. Like Kinlaw is like, okay, maybe he's not a great pass rusher right now, but this is a guy, as far as he could be a terrific 2-down type guy. But he's 340 pounds as opposed to somebody that's 6'1", 300 pounds, and really it looks like he's not supposed to be 300 pounds.
Right. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And so I don't know what he's going to be, but he's played such few snaps at defensive line that maybe that means his upside's even higher, because he does have, ex linebacker athleticism, and he does have that burst off the line, and he's a high motor player. And those things are all really important. You start to throw in a little bit more technique. He's in an NFL weight room for an extra year, and maybe it's for a whole year as he gets ready for 2023 if his injuries keep him out. So I don't know what he's going to end up being. Right now, I think he is just energy, rotational, get upfield. And I think that's probably what Chris Kosurik liked about him. I'm sure he had some input and was like, yes, give me this guy, because I like guys that are just on fire going upfield, and that's kind of what he is right now. But once he does get his initial move stoned, that's kind of it for him. And then he's just reacting and chasing from there. And he's pretty good doing that too. He's pretty athletic. But yeah, there's not much as far as technique there. That's where he's not good as a pass rusher. And so he's going to have to learn when he's battling with these big guys, especially if now he maybe doesn't have the power element and all he has is the get off. There's going to be some offensive linemen that might be able to work him early in his career until he kind of develops some of that technique. So,
and when I say, no pass rush, like I just saw no move. I didn't see any setup. I didn't see any pass rush type plan. It was just, I'm terrific versus the run, and I will blow things up, and I'll chase guys down. Not much of a lateral moving type guy in the sense of like change of direction. That's not really there, but he can penetrate, get in the backfield right now, and get up on the running back so quick and tackle him. But as far as being a pass rusher, I never saw that. Like, you watch DeForest Buckner in the middle, and he kind of gets step sideways, and he comes through with that big sweeping swim move or something, right? Like you should see this move they likes to go to, or different array of pass rush moves. And again, we're talking about DeForest Buckner, top 10 pick. Davis, not a top 10 pick, right?
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that you're kind of missing when you get a prospect like him, but they still might believe that he has a lot of things that they can work with and develop those aspects of his game.
Looking at the 49ers depth chart, it's pretty crowded on the defensive line. The 49ers might look at this and say, maybe we want to stash him because we don't have to cut somebody else because they've got so many bodies there all of a sudden, adding two rookie draft picks to the mix as well on the defensive line. So just focusing on the interior. Javon Kinlaw is going to be the nose as long as he's healthy, right? He's going to be next to Eric Armstead. Then you've got Hassan Ridgeway, who they signed in free agency from Philly. You have Maurice Hurst. You have Kevin Givens. You have Kerry Hyder. They have another undrafted free agent, Kevin Atkins, out of Fresno State, we'll talk about a little bit. So, Kalia Davis doesn't have to be anything more than, maybe the third string guy, whether it's at, a 3-tech or nose, if they even keep 6 interior guys. And so they might only keep 5 and then have, Davis maybe on the PUP list to start at least for half the season or something like that. So I think in a lot of ways, because of how many bodies they have, and they'll probably want to keep some extra ends on the roster just because they have even more players at end than they do at tackle. I think for that reason, it might be a stash play for the 49ers with Kalia Davis.
I can see that. I mean, a lot of depth on the D-line, which is good. Yeah. That's what you want.
But we also know...
Something is when you're rookies, though, when you have the rookies, it's a little bit harder to stash them and get them to be able to play that year. So that's the tough thing.
Here's what worries me a little bit, because I don't know if Kalia Davis is a nose. Hassan Ridgeway is not really a nose. Javon Kinlaw is going to have to be. I don't think they even saw him as a nose when they drafted him. I think they thought he was going to be the 3 technique. DJ Jones is going to be the nose, and Eric Armstead was the big end, right? So, and if Kinlaw's hurt, I'm not sure if they got enough beef inside right now, Croc.
Real small. Yeah. I've been waiting for them to get that big guy that just can't be moved. And I think that can be Kinlaw, like in that role. But, I mean, obviously we haven't seen it. And then obviously, he needs to stay healthy as well.
Interesting one. Kalia Davis, fun player just because of the energy, but a lot of work to do. And if he can keep some linebacker athleticism and stay 300 pounds and maybe even build off that athleticism with some technique, I think you might have something, a disruptive rotational guy that they found out of UCF in round 6. But let's talk wide receiver now. Let's talk Tay Martin. He was an undrafted wide receiver, multiple colleges. We'll get to him next and talk about whether or not he can make the team as an undrafted free agent wide receiver, which the 49ers have had a few of do that recently. But first, I want to let the folks out there know about betonline.net, your number one source for all your betting stats and sports information. If you're playing blackjack or poker next to Croc, take his advice and go to BetOnline and throw down that 5 G's and go make yourself a little bit of money. Find all the latest sports developments, news, odds, including NBA Finals. Obviously, the NHL Hockey Conference Finals are happening right now. Major League Baseball season all summer long. Of course, all the latest fighting news as well. You got MMA, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, in-game betting, esports, and more. And of course, all those NFL futures as well. There's tons of NFL futures you can bet on right now at BetOnline. So get over to BetOnline today. Use your desktop or mobile device to learn more about the trends in action at BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Croc, Tay Martin. The first thing that jumped out to me with Tay Martin is he's listed at 6'3", but he's really only 6'1.5", which is okay. But it's kind of a big difference, that inch and a half there. 6'1.5" to 6'3" is very different for the style of play that he has to utilize to win, right? So any little bit of extra size is going to help if you are, I don't want to say he's only a jump ball specialist, but he's definitely a contested catch guy. Like that was all over his tape.
One of the first things I kind of have here, well, one, he's a little bit older of a prospect. You talked about multiple schools there. He turns 25 in December of his rookie year.
Yep. Yeah, he's already over the age of 24. He's old for a prospect. 5 years in college. He started out at Washington State before transferring as well. So he, but he's played a lot of ball, which is a good thing. So he should be ready to come in and compete, which will help him. And from some camp reports we've already heard, he's looking pretty good out there, and he looks like he belongs. But he started out at Washington State for 3 years. He played even as a freshman in 2017, started one game, started all 13 games his second year. As a sophomore in 2018, he had 69 catches for 685 yards and 8 touchdowns. So it was looking like his stock was rising. Then started only 7 of 13 games in his junior year in 2019, 43 catches for 564. So took a step back at Washington State, which is probably why he wanted to transfer. He ended up going to Oklahoma State. Then he spent 2 years at Oklahoma State because he got that extra year of eligibility because of the pandemic. He only caught 15 balls his first year in 2020, and then started all 13 games his last year at Oklahoma State. Second team All Big 12, led the team in receiving, had his first 1,000-yard receiving season. He had 80 catches, 1,046 yards, and 10 touchdowns. So across the board, his best statistical season as a fifth-year super senior at Oklahoma State.
He kind of reminded me of a player while I was watching. Another guy who was listed at 6'3", but ended up being closer to 6'1". Do you know where I'm going with this?
Hold on. I was gonna say on 3, let's say the player that he's gonna get comped to the most, and it's Kendrick Bourne, right?
Yeah, it's Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah. He's built exactly like that, sort of a wiry frame, 6'1.5". He's actually, I think Kendrick Bourne weighed even more than him because Kendrick Bourne's skinny, and I don't think Tay Martin looks skinnier than Kendrick Bourne. But
Bourne is weirdly built. He's a legit 200 pounds.
Yeah, he's 200 pounds.
A little bit over 6'1", a little bit over 200 pounds. But the way, and I've noticed this with a lot of guys, I've been around a lot of athletes and everything. Guys hold their weight different. Kendrick Bourne, I don't know, because, he has that Polynesian in him. So I don't know if he just has like these thicker, dense bones that they sometimes have. But if you just look at Kendrick Bourne, he looks like 180 pounds.
He does. Yeah. He looks skinnier than Tay Martin, and Tay Martin weighed in 6'1.5", only 185. So
really?
Yeah. And Tay Martin looks a lot bigger than that on tape because he plays big. And so the first thing I saw when I was watching
hold on, but when you say he plays big, I think
at the
he plays. Well, yeah, but I think what you're also saying is he plays kind of slow.
He's so I didn't know all the specifics with Tay Martin before I watched him. I wanted to watch him first and then take those takeaways and then research him. And so the first things I saw, I was like, dude is slow, and I bet he played basketball. And of course, he was a 3-sport star, played a lot of basketball, and he ran 4.6s or whatever. So yeah, he's definitely not fast, and One reason I wouldn't put Kendrick Bourne on him is Kendrick Bourne's quicks, even though because Kendrick Bourne ran like 4.68, really bad 40 time, and Kendrick Bourne's not like beating people over the top or anything like that, but Kendrick Bourne's quicks were ridiculous. He has great feet, and that dude
next level
separate, and he had a 6.78, I think, 3-cone, which is blazing. Tay Martin's 3-cone is pretty good. It was a 7 even 3-cone. Let's go through the specifics there too before I forget.
Isn't bad, but yeah, Kendrick Bourne not bad at all. Yeah. Kendrick Bourne was between him and I think they got Trent Taylor that same year. I believe they came into the league together, but obviously Trent Taylor was an actual draft pick.
Yes.
Born undrafted. And also one thing to kind of keep in mind with these two guys, there's a chance right now that Tay Martin might be older than Kendrick Bourne, who's been in the league for like 5 years.
There's a lot of really old prospects in this draft class because of that extra COVID year that a lot of prospects took advantage of. But yeah, so 6'1.5", 184 pounds of the combine, pretty long arms, 32 inches, just like Kendrick Bourne. He had a 36-inch vertical. Bourne had a pretty good vertical. He ran 4.5, 740. I've seen a couple reports. I saw high 4.6s and high 4.5s from his pro day times. So I'm not sure which ones to believe, but he's around a 4.6 guy. I think it's pretty clear. That's what he looks like on tape, and that's kind of what his, if you average his rumored 40 times from his pro day, because he wasn't at the combine, not invited to the combine, so you don't have those laser times there. But a 7 flat 3 cone, 4.21 short shuttle, and 3 sports star, basketball, football, and ran track as well in high school. But the key difference between Tay Martin and Kendrick Bourne to me is Kendrick Bourne separated in the NFL. I'm a little bit worried about Tay Martin's ability to separate, but I'm not at all worried about Tay Martin's ability to go get the football, because he lives in the contested catch world and he's really good at it. Goes up the top and really good tracking the ball, comes back to the ball, and he always seems to make the catch over or around defenders.
Well, when you can't run away from guys and you don't have the quicks of, like, let's say like a Kendrick Bourne, who's not going to run away from guys, but he can create some of that short area separation, then you have to live with being more of a contested catch guy. There was one thing that I jumped out. This is going to sound like a knock, because what I put was, I put he's so slow, he wins with routes somehow. And there was like this
dude, I know what you mean. The ones where he breaks off of the corner, because it's almost like he's even running slower than he already does to set up the change in speed. You know what I mean? So it's kind of savvy route running.
So yeah, there's like this patience element to his route running, where, when guys are playing off, it's almost like, oh, well, okay, he's kind of running at me, and okay, he's gonna put his foot in the ground and I'm gonna drive. But then it's like he just kind of then go, and then it's like you just see the corner just get turned around. And I'm like, man, but I can, again, when I'm evaluating receivers, I'm evaluating defensive backs, I always put myself in their shoes. And I remember training with one of my guy Derek Graves. Shout out to my guy D Graves. And D Graves was running the speed out versus me. And it was so weird because he wasn't running fast, but he would just look at me in my eyes while we're running. I'm not supposed to be looking at eyes, right? Like when you're a defensive back, my eyes are supposed to be down a little bit. But he just look at me, and then just rolling to running the speed out. And it was one of the more odd things that I've ever seen before. I'm used to guys digging at me, driving, really working, trying to change the pace or the speed. And I could feel that. And with him, it was just like moving and then break my route off. And watching Tay Martin, there was some element of that where it's almost like the defenders didn't really believe what he was telling him he was doing. And then he'd do it and he'd win. And it's not like this is something that just like happened like one time. Like this was very like a very consistent thing. So the biggest thing that I try to find when I'm looking at these prospects and evaluating them is, how do they win? I think you identified one area at the catch point. And it is tough to consistently win that way, especially at the NFL level, if you can't outrun guys. So he's going to have to figure out how to either, one, do like Juwan Jennings. You see him playing the big slot, right? Like the 49ers said, you know what, Juwan Jennings, like, you're not outrunning anyone. We're going to put you in a big slot, and you could just do some things there. If the 49ers say, you know what, Tay Martin, you're not outrunning guys on the outside. It's going to be a little bit hard for you to be that vertical threat from there. But you know what? Let's play in a spot where I think you understand kind of spacing and you understand leverage and you're tough, you're physical. Even though he's not the biggest of guys. And maybe that's where he can have some level of success. But like you said, there have been reports so far that are positive with his game.
He jumps. He's so good at contested catches. He even jumps when he is open and doesn't need to. I saw it repeatedly where he's like open, he's wide open, like on a slant or, like an open spot in his zone or whatever. Quarterback throws it to him and he jumps for no reason, which is kind of a bad.
No, that's not no reason. Do you know why guys do that a lot of times?
He just doesn't trust himself?
Don't trust their hands. That's what I would think, right? Like guys, Kendrick Bourne. Let's say Kendrick Bourne, even though I know a lot of 49 fans like Kendrick Bourne, like trust his hands. He's terrible. Most drops ever, right? Like they always blow his drops out of proportion. He's had a couple games where he dropped too many passes. All right, but outside of that, if you watch Kendrick Bourne and the way he catches the ball, he's a really good hands catcher. And there are a lot of times where he won't leave his feet. He'll run through the ball and catch it and hit it full speed, right? And a lot of times when you see, like, especially if you are working with like some younger, like inexperienced guys, they don't trust themselves as much to be able to extend their hands and just catch it while still moving. So they kind of jump to kind of slow the ball down a little bit and then make the catch that way, as opposed to being able to catch it and still take off. So again, that's not something I noted with him, but that when you said that, that's the first thing that came to my mind. There could be an element of not trusting his hands, but I don't know. So Tay Martin, if you're listening to this, I'm not saying that you don't trust your hands. That's just the first thing that came to my mind.
I will say this, Tay, if you're watching, Croc is a former DB, and we all know that DBs have bad hands, so Croc knows bad hands, so he might know what he's talking about here.
11 interceptions 1 year. We're in football league. We're in the league, but 11 interceptions. Like,
no,
you know.
Look, one thing I know about Croc is he's a pure athlete. He's got hands. He's got an arm. He can even kick field goals in Crocs. So talented.
I just can't play golf. So.
That's if you start that, it's going to be a lifetime adventure because it's tough to get good at that. What do you think the odds are that Tay Martin makes the roster at wide receiver? Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, pretty locked in at probably the 1, 2, 3 spot. Or I would say that I still think, even though Kyle Shanahan doesn't want to tell Juwan Jennings and definitely doesn't want to tell opposing defenses, Juwan Jennings actually a tight end. Watch his usage. Tell me he's not he's a flex out tight end more than he's a wide receiver big slot. So,
right. McLeod,
Danny Gray, obviously, and then Ray McLeod slot. So those 5 are pretty darn locked in, right? And if they only keep 6, you got Marcus Johnson, free agent, Malik Turner, veteran free agent. You got Keyshawn Johnson, veteran free agent, Austin Mack, and then you have Taysir Mack, who is the undrafted free agent, and Tay Martin.
They have him wearing number 24. I know our guy said don't talk about numbers. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's the second time I brought up numbers in this episode. Yeah. But he's wearing number 24 out there, so it's kind of weird, like looking at him like in pictures. It's like, but he's a big, like he has good size. And we talked about Tay Martin being. And have you looked at what Tay Martin's real name is? It's not Tay.
It is. I had it right here. Where was it? It's Devontavian.
There you go, Devontavian.
Devontavian right. Martin.
But the other guy, he's wearing number 24, so it's like, but he has good size. He's not the 185-pound type of
you mean Johnson? Because there's Johnson.
No, not Keyshawn Johnson. Which Keyshawn, if we're talking about receivers, that's guy. I keep an eye out on him.
I was a fan. He had a lot of fans coming out of the draft. I think
he was good. He broke a lot of records at Fresno State. My guy, I believe he broke some. My guy Josh Harper broke his. Obviously like Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams only played 2 years, so a lot of these other guys played like 3-4 years at Fresno State. And what Adams did in 2 years, oh my goodness! I mean, he probably had like 4,000 receiving yards and like 40 touchdowns in 2 years. But Keyshawn was good there, and he was a guy. Again, we're kind of talking about some of the like same Kendrick Bourne, like that type of guy. Kendrick Bourne was able to work extremely hard. And here's the thing that you don't know with some guys. You got to figure this out, especially if you're Tay Martin. How am I going to make this team? Kendrick Bourne just figured it out. Like however I have to work to just get it to where I have some type of role. And at first he didn't. Remember, Kendrick Bourne, he didn't suit up for like the first half of his rookie year. And then eventually he started playing. Obviously the season was kind of over. But he carved out a niche. And I think he made it very difficult for a guy who wasn't a special teamer somehow, right? Like you're undrafted. You're undrafted out of Eastern Washington. You left school early, still went undrafted. You're not good on special teams. You're not fast. But somehow he carved out a niche and made it hard for the coach to cut him. And made it to where, like, okay, like this is gonna be kind of my role. And anytime they needed that done, like it was like, well, Kendrick Bourne is like that's the guy for that. So Tay Martin is gonna have to figure out, or Keyshawn Johnson, whoever's gonna be that 6th receiver, what's my role going to be, and how am I going to make it difficult for Kyle Shanahan or Leonard Henderson to pull me off of the field? And it's tough. I still don't know how Kendrick Bourne did it to this day.
Yeah, well, there was some major holes on that roster. So Kendrick Bourne, I think, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Just the roster that Kendrick Bourne walked into allowed him to have maybe an extra opportunity or two that some guys might not get, and maybe Tay Martin might not get, because now there's a bunch of guys fighting for maybe one spot. And Marcus Johnson is there with Keyshawn Johnson and Malik Turner, and some of these guys are veterans already, so they might look more ready to go. Some of them might play special teams, so maybe that's just the sixth spot goes to a guy that at least they know can play some special teams. And I know Ray McLeod will have a role on special teams as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be a nice little competition there for probably only one roster spot at wide receiver, but there's going to be some opportunities to have guys in the practice squad, maybe a couple of them. So that also helps someone like Tay Martin.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Jawan Jennings, he's on the practice squad his entire rookie year.
Yeah. Well, listen, practice squad, it's not bad money right now. When I was in the NFL, it was like $6,000 a week. Then obviously, you only get so much of that. Then you got little fees and stuff you got to pay or whatever. But now, I think I pocketed like $3,400. Like now, these guys, I mean, it's like pushing $10,000 a week or something like that.
So look out for number 83. Tay Martin wearing number 83 right now. He was used a ton as an outside wide receiver, lined up a lot on the right in college. I wonder if they're going to try to utilize him in the slot a little bit, that Kendrick Bourne type of a role. I wonder if the 49ers see Kendrick Bourne in him as well. So that'll be interesting to watch him in camp and watch those guys compete for those last roster spots at wide receiver. All right, we're out of time here. Those are the scouting reports on Kalia Davis and Tay Martin, some of the newest San Francisco 49ers that I'm excited to watch in training camp. Thanks, everybody, for making Locked On 49ers your first listen. Back tomorrow with, I think we're going to be doing the scouting reports on some potential centers now that we know that Alex Mack is not coming back. A couple of undrafted free agent centers and interior offensive linemen in Donovan West and Jason Poe. So that will be tomorrow's show. And then on Wednesday, a Winky Wednesday, we will kick off our all-time San Francisco 49ers draft. I got to go right now so I can do another mock draft and try to get into the heads of Winkler and Croc and which players they're going to draft in our all-time 49ers draft. It kicks off Wednesday. It will last through the month of June. Croc and I back tomorrow right here, Locked On 49ers.